All right, we'll go ahead and call the Monday, April the 25th, 2011 Public Safety Committee to order. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of last month.
So moved.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion has carried. First on the agenda tonight is the OSHA report. And I think you got it on the table in front of you.
Pick out what you need out of there. Well, that's because you sat in the Alan McAdoo seat.
That's right.
Because Robert P. was in
Okay,
the
for
Alan
the-
McAdoo seat.
For the month of March, we had a total of 24 injuries requiring medical attention. You can see the breakout there. And then also for the year-to-date, you'll see below that, just a note there, bring to your attention, struck or injured by is up. That's kind of come on new this year as far as the leading cause of injuries. A lot of that has to do with, obviously, the Sheriff's Department and some of the conflict and things that they have, some of the schools and dealing with some of the special needs. Also, I think a lot of that too was we're going into the mowing season. Lawnmowers are actually throwing rocks and things, and I've actually had a window get broken in a vehicle because of rocks being thrown from the mowers and all. So just wanted to bring that to your attention because that does kind of stick out there and what we're looking at already for this year.
It's not personal injuries that you've got listed here, is that?
No. These are personal injuries, but just let you know that there's a number of things going on right now, and mowers throwing rocks and hitting. I did have an injury where that has happened also, so to an employee. Total for OSHA for the year, recordable is 44, as you see there. Restricted days is 18. Lost days claim is 8, and 18 for total weather. And when you look at the next page, that's where you kind of see the last 2 months kind of been an uptake. Again, I think that goes strictly back to the warmer weather. Last year we had a very good year, and I think that this year it's coming back a little bit more. But just to remind you again, injuries are somewhat cyclic, and in the last summer we had a very good turnout by contacting the schools, working with the schools, and reducing claims. So we're really working on that this year. Tim Street has been out to the schools and started with the school visits already early, working toward what the summer's trying to reduce those injuries there. The next page you'll see where it has a total of the 24 claims. Total dollars incurred was a little over $30,000. On the next page, just to let you know, the database is kicking out 2 reports for the county and the Board of Education, and I've kind of put them together there on one. The total claims for the county is a total of 14 for the total dollars incurred of $16,320, and you see where that other one on the next page. And the Board of Education had a total of 9 claims for total dollars incurred of $12,450, and then
Wait a minute.
yes, sir.
The Board of Education's got 4,000 plus, 5,000 people, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
The County General
Yes, sir.
has roughly 900 to 1,100, somewhere in there.
Yes, sir.
And we had half again as many in County General as we had. Now, are you going to put that all on the Sheriff's Department or the
Medical?
EMS? Is it?
Well,
No, those are the 2 I can really
yes, sir.
see.
Yes, sir.
You know.
yes, sir.
Okay, that's
and
what I'm
and I
getting
did
at.
mention too that there are a couple other injuries when you have to look at rocks being thrown, like for the mowing, things like that, also incurs.
Yeah, but that March, it starts maybe in March, but that doesn't answer February, though.
Okay.
You know, I mean, not many people were out cutting the grass in February, or the schools.
Well,
But is it mainly EMS and the Sheriff's Department?
well, when you break it out, as far as the county general is concerned, you got the county maintenance.
Okay.
There's not that we
The
didn't have.
schools got maintenance, they got more
Yes,
maintenance
sir.
than county general.
Yes, sir. So you're kind of getting to it that a majority of the injuries. I can get back with you and break it down by department.
I'm
if
just
you
curious,
like.
no, I'm sorry, but I
No,
can
that's
just
okay.
see that it's the sheriff and EMS, I would think, would
They
overall have the most.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I didn't bring the breakdown by department with me tonight, but I can definitely do that for you and give that to you next month if you
That'd
like.
be
and
fine.
Kind
Yeah.
of give you an update on where that is.
Just because, well, I don't want to get down to say if it's in some of the other departments, or maybe a lot of it dealing with stupidity.
I understand.
And I mean, it happens to all of us.
I understand, sir. And I'll be glad to bring that back to you
Okay.
next month.
Thank you.
It's hard to regulate stupidity.
Yeah, but I have troubles. I trip up the steps. I never fall down. I'm like, don't lift my feet.
And
trip
I
up
don't
them.
want to
know
sit here
that, you know?
and because I don't have the numbers in front of me,
Okay, all right.
when I start using my memory and trying to tell you what happened, and this is already the 25th of April, and I've already into April and know what April's doing, I couldn't remember what happened back in March, so I want to make sure I'm accurate in what I
Okay.
report to you.
It would probably be a good idea to know what departments, that way
I will
Especially if something's out of
it
whack.
wouldn't fall on any one department.
be glad to do that. I just didn't want to make a comment tonight and say something wrong and then have it come back on me. So I appreciate that. And I will get that for you. And, okay, so we had talked about the Board of Education having a total of 9, which was $12,450, and then the remainder of the claims for the Highway Department that you see there. And I will be bringing that back to you next
Okay.
month. And let me ask this, are you looking at that as kind of an ongoing thing? You'd like to see
Yeah.
something by
Why don't we do that each month
Okay.
by department, if you would also, once you get it for this one, put it in our mailboxes.
Okay.
That way, all right, any questions on this report?
Be glad to do that too.
Mr.
Just one, if he's gonna list by department, what you gonna give me? A number by department? Are you gonna specify each individual? and
I wouldn't do, the only way
The accident, or how you gonna do it?
well, let me work on doing that. I would not disclose names or anything like
Well, you
that.
can
It would be-
exclude the names, but, per se his department, what fell down the steps 2,
Well, what I would
jumped off
probably,
the roof 1, you see what I'm saying? By department.
uh-huh,
And then give me a total. Just don't give me a number, say, Education Department 13,
okay.
and don't specify what each injury was.
I think what you're asking then is something similar to what we're
Right,
talking about right
right,
here, slip,
right.
trips, and fall. Like, okay,
Right.
for example, we would go, county insurance department, which is my department, and I have 3 injuries, then I would end up coming back and say, 1 slip, trip, and fall,
Right.
1,
Precisely.
struck by, and 1,
Right.
cut.
Okay.
Okay, then that would be what we're looking at. Okay, so,
If you had 5 or 6 back strains, they're all in the ambulance service, you might, they're
5 or
heavy
6,
lifting.
and
And
that's what
that, and that's kind of understandable that you got heavy lifting and things like that,
so, okay. And I'll look at changing the report up a little bit for you. We've had this format for a while, so definitely time to look at changing and working things out. Okay?
All right, any more questions? Entertain a motion on this report.
So moved.
Got a motion, and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion's carried. Thank you. Ambulance service report. Thank you, sir. Whenever you're ready.
We made 1,898 calls for the month of March. Average response time 7.3 minutes, 36 DOAs, and 15 autopsies. The total bill was $942,222. We collected $239,615, and our collection service collected $184,541. And as you know, we're undergoing a transition there, and we expected that this month was going to be the least month. But we're still on year-to-date is $4,129,588, and the projection is $5.5 million. We had 130,974 of insurance write-offs and $106,201 of collection agency write-offs. And county was $932.
Well, we're up on this section. So we have 15 autopsies. The cost per autopsies varies depending on the complexity of them, or are we a flat fee?
$1,550.
Is it, what if we had 50 next month? Is it still 50? It's
Still that.
it's still 1550. Well,
State regulates that, don't they?
No, the state doesn't regulate it, but the medical examiner office in Nashville is the one that does those, so. We pretty much have to pay what they ask.
I don't understand something there. Okay, at the commission meeting a couple weeks ago, we took 65,000 or 75,000, off the top of my head. I'm gonna be like Mr. Good, like Dan Good, I can't remember a month ago, but that went into autopsies. Where else is this, are we having to pay for autopsies?
It comes out of a fund that Mr. Burgess,
Yeah, no, I mean, the only autopsies we pay for are the ones you report here? Okay, maybe I need to ask the mayor that. How did we get up to 65,000 or 75,000 for autopsies last month? From undesignated fund balance, we took that money.
Every year, we've had to amend that budget and add more to it. It's something that we don't control. I have printed out, and I'll give you a copy of this. Quite honestly, I haven't read it in enough detail, but this is the law about all this stuff. And the chief medical examiner really is the person that approves these things, of course, but it's largely instituted by the law enforcement agencies are requesting these.
But Mr. Nunley's saying that we're charged a flat fee per month, no matter how many.
No, per each.
Per each, okay.
$1,550 each.
that's
We
about
spent
$25,000.
$22,500 just last month. You annualize that, we're at $200,000, so it's an extraordinary amount of money. We hope that's not typical, but recently it has been.
Okay. All right, that helped me a little bit. Thank you.
Hey, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. In the past, we had two places in Nashville that give autopsies. And then we got a better deal with the other place, but the other place is no longer in business. Because I can remember that this figure wasn't no 1,550. So now we just really under the gun with one. And they can charge us whatever they want. Right, okay.
It was about half of that.
It was, yeah, it was. Running around $750, $800, if I remember correctly.
You're exactly right.
That's not something we could hire somebody independent, say if we wanted our own medical examiner.
You have your own medical examiner, you just don't have a forensic pathologist. Dr. Bart Warner is our medical examiner. And as Mr. Burgess said, this is essentially a law enforcement thing. I think the only reason I end up reporting it is because we keep records of it, of course, but.
So anytime there's any kind of legal matter, basically or something, and one of the city police or the county sheriff's office request an autopsy, then we get one.
I think if it's an unintended death or a fire death, or two things that I can think of, suicides,
Homicide, any death related to aircraft crash, coal mining accident, those kind of things. It comes under the coroner's and medical examiner's law. You have to be a physician, a licensed physician, to be a medical examiner. A coroner is pretty much a thing of the past, but we utilize the coroner system here in this county because it's obviously be very expensive to hire a medical examiner. And we kind of act as deputy medical examiners. We do most of the preliminary work for Dr. Warner. The person who actually orders the autopsy is the district attorney. But the district attorney has made it clear that he's going to rely on Dr. Warner and the law enforcement agencies to. The operating cost is on the spreadsheet at the bottom of the page. We drove a total of 37,766 miles. And the next page lists the various in-services and training and standbys and so forth that were done during the month. And on the back of that page is the ambulances and where they responded to, for a total of 1,898 calls.
I see the SORT team made some a lot of calls.
Actually, the SORT team has been very busy this month, but their calls is listed as 0. But the reason it's listed as 0 is because they weren't the primary responder. They were secondary on several things, but they were not the primary responder. And as you can see, that we have a continuing trend with the Manchester Road Station ever since Burton Street moved out of its zone. So we're still thinking about things that we can do to relieve them a little bit. The next page is the number of calls made into commissioners' districts, and also the number of Nashville calls. Transport team made 31 calls. 24 of them originated at Middle Tennessee Medical Center, and 6 of them originated at Stonecrest. They also made 60 911 calls. Page after that is the same data, except on a year basis. There was an email that I wrote to a couple of our medics who responded to a call that I had a telephone call about. And then we had one from the FAA regarding that plane crash in Smyrna.
Any questions for Mike? If there's no questions, entertain a motion on his report.
Move to approve the report.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Mike. Paul's report. How you doing there? I think you got the report on the desk, too.
I do, and actually it's a little thicker than usual. We'll get to that part.
All right.
First of all, you can see for the month of March, we had an intake of 639 animals, and then we had a total of 628 that went back out. You can see how that's broken down by jurisdiction and the outcomes by adoptions, euthanasias, reclaims, et cetera. That should be on March 31st. We had 145 animals in the shelter, and we had over 2,500 people visit the shelter to look for a lost or a new pet for the month. On page 2, you can see that we had 1,230 calls received into the shelter, 1,265 calls were completed out, and then we also traveled over 10,000 miles for the month. Page number 3 gives you our year-to-dates. We've taken in almost 6,000 animals year-to-date, and we've had almost 6,000 animals go back out. You can see that broken down by jurisdiction as well. And we've had almost 20,000 people visit the shelter since the first of the fiscal year. Page number 4 shows that we had 10,941 calls received into the shelter, 11,019 calls were completed, and we went almost 96,000 miles for this fiscal year. Page 5 of your report is our rabies and bite report. You can see that we had a total of 39 bites that were reported. 10 of those were sent off for testing. 0 of those tested positive. On our other exposure, we had 2 reported for the month. Both of those were tested. One of those came back as positive. You can see down at the bottom, on March 25th, we had a skunk from the Buchanan zone that came back as positive. It was a contact only. Lady had contact with her dogs, and they had contact with the skunk, tested positive. That's all the report. I do have budget amendments. I don't know if you want to proceed on those or not.
Any questions on the report?
Was the dog okay?
It was 2 dogs. They're under quarantine, and they're fine right now.
Sometime, would you bring us in a map of these zones?
Yes, I had.
I mean,
the
you
one
got
that I
a,
gave
you
last
got a
month's-
large spot between Las Casas and Buchanan.
There
I'm
is.
just
Do you
wondering
still
how
have a
that's
copy of
split
All
up.
right. Good.
Okay. I have one that I provided for at the last month's meeting that you're welcome to.
May not have made it down your
Thank
way
you.
last month.
That's it. Thank you.
Any more questions on the report? If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion on the report.
So moved.
Got a motion, do we have a second? And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion has carried. I guess we can, if it's all right with the committee, we'll do both these in one motion.
The first budget amendment is to take money out of our attendant line, which is our regular full-time line item, and move money over into our part-time personnel and to our overtime pay. We're down some officers, been trying to fill those positions. We've had some turnover. We're having to utilize the part-time help more than we're used to. So we're just asking for money between line items. The overtime pay is to try to get that, because some of these employees that have left have got to be paid for comp time and whatnot to get that back in order.
All right.
And the next budget amendment is just taking some money between some lines. We're asking to pull $250 from our advertising line item, $500 from medical and dental services, and $400 from our communication equipment, and put that over into $499, which are other supplies and materials. Out of our $499, some of that money is when we send off the animals for testing to the state, we contract with a company called Dash Deliveries that picks those up and takes those to Nashville, and we're trying to make sure we have enough money there to continue for the rest of the budget year.
Any questions on the request?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, do we have a second? And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call roll.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes. Thank you. Correctional Work Center report. And I believe it's on the desk as well. How's it going tonight?
The first page just reflects the yearly activity report. Pretty much our daily census has been pretty much what that average is, about 187 in the past 3 months, so that's been going pretty good. I think that should start picking up in the next couple of months. The workers out average for March, you see that's 39. And same there with the weather getting better. That should start picking up also. Incident reports, been averaging about that number, 165. The disciplinaries kind of went down, and so that number is pretty stable about that, about between the 50s and 60s. The programs are picking up. We've picked up some more volunteers to come in to do some more programs, so that number is getting steady, getting higher too. The GD program is going pretty good. They just had a test. I think I told you last month. So we got a new group in. And the DUI litter pickups, that number has been very good and probably increase next month, in the next couple of months.
On the DUI litter pickups, that's generally done on the weekends?
Right. We're trying to do
Saturdays
every-
and Sundays is what,
Right, Friday, Saturday. We're trying to do 3 days a week, so that's been working out pretty good. That's why the number has been staying pretty good. And then anytime we have any identified highways that need to be addressed, we pretty much concentrate on that area with them, so. Yes. Any questions on that page? On the monthly worker report, it breaks down the daily money being saved from using the inmate labor. It's been looking, this was a good month. 145,152 for the month of March. So we're still working on April's figures, of course, but March was a pretty good month. And minutes, the last meeting, just wanna, I don't know if we ever mentioned it, but we did have Mr. Taylor from the board pass away, so I just wanna pass on to his family and pay our respects to him. He really did a good service to the board and to the county.
He was always good about coming to public safety meetings and some of the other committee meetings and the commission meetings.
He's a good man, good man. Talked about cameras being installed, which has been a big blessing to us, very good assistance to do some monitoring, and that's pretty much it.
Any questions on his report? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We got a budget amendment.
Yes, we do. We're requesting to put 700 into the in-service line number 196. We have a couple of mandatory in-services coming up with the state, and we just need to put some funds into that line to pay for the state in-services.
You've heard his request. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
second.
Motion and a second. All right, discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Next, County Fire Rescue.
First page is my report, and just wanted to point out, July 1st, Commissioner P, I requested that all county fire departments have their pump test, hose test, all their maintenance records for their county equipment. And then I met with Ted Lindsay, and May the 17th to the 19th, we're gonna be going to each one of the stations to be inventorying all their equipment, make sure everything's still satisfactory.
Said here, attended Lascassas Fire Department Board meeting to discuss Lascassas fire emergency and merging with the county fire department.
They requested me to come out the 4th of April. They, their board meeting had met, and they asked me to come out and have a question and answer session. Lasted about 2.5 hours, just asking questions about how the county fire department operates and what we could expect from all that.
So they initiated it.
Yeah. I don't know if they're gonna take a vote on it or what they're gonna do. Next page is the NBA report. Response time this month was a little up than what it's been in the past. Is 8.2 minutes response. As I looked across these reports, most of the ones that were 10, 12-minute responses were actually on the outskirts of the county or out toward the county line or right the opposite of where that rescue zone was. So it took them a few extra minutes to get on the scene. Didn't have any extra cases last month. And then the next page is just the water report and training hours.
Well, the county fire department, fire and rescue had done 1,077.5 hours. And others were 19, 124, 68, 25, 4, 163, 11, and 28.
Yeah, well, you got to take into consideration too, the county fire rescue department, that's about 115 firefighters over 4 stations. So
That's true. That's why it's
much higher than everybody else. Plus, we've had quite a few of them in first responder classes and extrication classes too.
Well, that many departments combined, I can see that being that big a difference.
And then, of course, the next page is CED report. And the last page, just was from March. Had 2 structure fires in the county. One was it's from Station 3, and the other one was District 15 on Blackman Road.
Any questions on the report?
What is the date that you no longer need a burn permit?
May the 15th.
May the 15th.
Anybody else?
It runs from May to October.
Is there a motion on, if there's no questions, is there a motion on this report?
Move to approve.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Emergency management report, and I believe it's on the desk in front of you.
Good evening. I wanted to bring your attention to one major problem that I'm sure you're all aware of, and that is the severe weather we've had this spring so far. Probably one of the most active seasons. If you look at the report, we've had 7 or 8 severe weather incidents or periods, and more to come today or tonight through Wednesday as well. It's probably, according to the National Weather Service, been the most active since 1974. Historically, May is our worst month, and that's around the corner, and I don't know how it can be any worse than what we've had. We have been very fortunate in Rutherford County, and these storms have not caused a lot of damage here. We have had some damages, minor damages, primarily trees, limbs, power lines, and things in the county in some of these storms, but nothing major and no loss of life. But the season's not over, and we are really looking down the barrel of a very, very dangerous season yet to come.
Roger, I noticed on your staff that you met planning the air show, and I wanted to plug the air show, that's why I even brought it up. If you'll give the date, what y'all be doing.
Yeah, we'll be using the mobile command as the command center for the air show, and it'll be actually May 7th and 8th The mobile command will be set up there to start the communications on May 5th and stay there until after the show is done on the 8th, which happens to be Mother's Day, I believe. But the incident commander will be working out of the mobile command unit. We have Tommy Brown will be doing a lot of the disaster communications and all for the show as well, and the county will be well represented there. One of the reasons the emergency management's involved is not just the mobile command, but the fact that we're on site if anything goes different than the plan. That's a nice way to say it without
saying it.
Yes, because I don't want to jinx it. So that's one of the reasons it's required that we be present.
The first thing on your list here is on the March the 29th, you met with Homeland Security auditors about the 2008, 2009 grants. What is the status of getting those grants? Getting everybody the stuff that they've had on.
It's an ongoing process. I have probably almost 20 POs that Tara is working on now, working on the law enforcement side, matter of fact, on trying to get all of their tactical equipment and stuff. We're not working on just one grant at a time. It's bits and pieces of each one. The biggest problem in it is getting the proper nomenclature or exactly what it is that they are wanting that falls within that item. And the law enforcement's done a terrific job of meeting and coming up with a standard tactical equipment listing, and then each one of the municipalities have different amounts of money, and so we're trying to stay within those money groups for each
They would
one.
already have that list already done, wouldn't they? And that way, basically, they're just specking it out and bidding it, wouldn't it?
Actually, no. The part that comes to me from the grant says tactical equipment, let's say Murfreesboro 30,000, but it doesn't give me any breakdown. What is this tactical equipment? So with the meetings with the law enforcement on the county subcommittee, they go through and say what each one of those municipalities are looking for in that tactical equipment, and it's all compatible with one another. The biggest thing is that we maintain compatibility, and it's just an ongoing process.
Yeah. You don't know when we may be through with that and get those cleared out.
2008 will be done by June 30th. The others, just as we are able to get them done, we're working on some on the 2010, 2009, and 8, all three at the same time.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
Motion to approve the report.
Got a motion, do we have a second? And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. I think you had some more.
Right, I want to give you an update on a few things. You know, Steve Mayer left and went to the city of Laverne, and we restructured that position and made a communications coordinator position, trying to get a what I call a communications expert in to the county. And Mr. Joe Gurley had put in for this, and we offered it to him, and he accepted. And some of you probably know who Joe Gurley is, but he was the chairman of our advisory committee in coming up with the spec standards and what we need to do on the communication stuff. So officially, as of May 9th, he will be on board with the emergency management and be able to work with all the municipalities and public safety entities within the county. A great asset, and
very knowledgeable.
He will definitely do good for us. We have opened the bid on the tower, the 230-foot tower at Tiger Hill, and at the next procurement meeting, we'll be ready to award that tower bid. We're working on, with Joe, on the specs for the 2 shelters that we have to come up with. And we have moved everything off the old fire tower with the exception of the Volder from Murfreesboro Fire, because we had to match up phone line service change and everything. We get it moved, we'll be ready to take the old fire tower down. So once that happens, you will see a lot of activities taking place one after another. So I'm excited about the forward motion that we're able to come to now, and I'm hoping to see a new tower up there before too long.
Any questions on this information you just give us? All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drug court report. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
Doing good.
You've gotten hairier since I've seen you
Yeah.
last.
Retirement.
Yeah, yeah. Rub it in, rub it in.
Speaking of retirement, I think some of you committee members, we're going to be losing our secretary. She's retiring on us.
I am so jealous because y'all passed those out.
She's going to join my ranks.
That's wonderful.
I'm not old enough to retire.
I'm not either. I got 6 more years, but I'm counting.
I'm old enough, but my wife threatened me.
Oh, goodness. Just a few, I didn't do a written report, but I wanted to inform you all of some things that have occurred. Angie, my assistant director, and one of my case managers and myself went to the DUI school training last week. It's Prime for Life, and it's what the state requires us to do to follow through with this whole money-raising revenue idea that we have at the DUI school and the A&D intervention program. So there's 4 of us now trained in Prime for Life. We received our license from the state last week, so we can start anytime. And we probably will start in May. I have to get my little brochures done to take over to the courthouse. And then as soon as people start calling, we have to have a minimum of 5 people in the class. So as soon as that gets going, hopefully we'll start making some money to cover our expenses. So that was very exciting. Our support foundation, which is our 501c3, they made the decision at the last board meeting to close our transitional house because we lost one of the grants from the community development department with the city, John Callow's department, that money that he's been getting and now is all up in question.
Wasn't that part of the federal money that they were talking about taking away?
I believe so. So it was called an emergency shelter grant. But he said that he didn't know if it would be come back, but it would probably come back as something different, and that the city of Murfreesboro probably would not receive it anymore. So, so we had to go ahead and close the house because that was paying half the rent, and there were just some other needs that we have that are a little bit more cost efficient, I guess. Also, the Support Foundation has decided on a date for their annual fundraiser, which is the 5K race. And that will be those of you that run, and I know you all do. The Rally for Recovery will be on October 8th at the Gateway Island Course. However, we are going to change the name. They voted to change the name to the David Dodd Memorial 5K Dash in honor of Dr. Dodd, who was a big supporter of ours. So we wanted to honor him and his family in some way for being such wonderful supporters. So that's pretty much it. As far as my narrative, this is my numbers. There's nothing alarming or crazy there.
Does anybody have any questions on the numbers on the report, or any questions about what you just advised us of?
Motion to approve the report.
Got a motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion is carried, and I believe you got a couple of
I do.
budget amendments.
I do.
Just go ahead and do both of them at the same time.
Okay. The first one is for my part-time DUI therapist. She got a little bit of overtime due to some mandatory training that we had to do. And since I don't have overtime in my budget, we had to put it in. So that's what that is. And the second one, at the end of April, I will have spent all my money for drug screens, and I have 2 more months. And we're using the breathalyzer more, but we actually had to terminate 3 people today because we are still dealing with the K2 and the K3 and the Molly's Plant Food. And those tests are $50. So we try to get reimbursed by the people that test positive, but we're terminating them. So, we're not ever going to see that money again. So anyway, we're out of money, and our tests are more expensive because of all this.
So they're still, I guess they're still been able to get this plant food, even though it's been taken off the.
Yeah, I'm talking like last weekend, or this past weekend,
It has been
Saturday.
taken off the shelves.
Yeah, the sheriff department and local municipality PDs have went and done like a sting on it and took it off all the stores.
I don't know where
Have they
they're
taken out
getting
Davidson County stores?
it. I don't know. I really don't know. And again, we're terminating them, so they're going right to jail, and we can't, talk to them. Well, we can, we could go out there and talk to them. And maybe that's something that the sheriff department would like to do, is talk to some of these people and get some information, because it's definitely out there. And just thinking of the ones that we terminated, one of them doesn't even have a car, so I don't know if she's getting it from somebody else or what. I don't know, but it's out there. So I figure $3,000, which is about $1,500 a month, which is about what we spend for the next 2 months, should get us through just fine if we're real careful and use the breathalyzer a little bit more, and we still have some instance and what have you. So we're going to use up what we can, but we have to be able to drug test our people.
You've heard the request. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Discussion.
There is no other way in your budget to get $3,000.
Oh, gosh, no. There is nothing in my budget. But seriously, my budget was about as dry and as a bone. I think the mayor can attest to that. I think we tried to look for money for the $1,000 for the license for doing the DUI school, and I didn't even have that, so.
The one thing I want to point out why I made that motion so quickly, you heard what she said. When they're terminated, where are they going? They're going to jail. When they go to jail, what happens? We're paying for everything for them. So we're actually saving ourselves some money by having this program in place and having them out where hopefully they won't have a reoccurrence. So.
Hopefully. But this one's a tough one. And other drug courts are really having a problem with it too. It's really rampant, and if you don't get the specialized drug screens, it doesn't show up on your regular drug screen. You have to get these $50 ones.
I know the legislature, I don't know if they've passed it yet or not. See if you might be able, where it's actually made it that
Illegal.
Plant food is actually a felony, or in the works of making it a felony to be able to, or whatever the class narcotics level or whatever.
Mm-hmm. To sell it or
No,
possess it, or
to possess it.
Okay.
So-
Is it illegal yet?
I know Senator Tracy, I think,
K3 is.
sponsoring the bill.
The K3 is. They made that illegal last year.
Now, what's the case?
That's the fake marijuana. It's
Okay.
like marijuana, but, and the ambulance people can tell you, they're getting the calls too. We talked about it one day. They're getting the psychotic people and taking them because they're smoking this stuff and doing this stuff.
Oh,
it makes you nuts.
They're having
People have died.
psychiatric problems, and it's bad.
It's bad.
Now, is it a different drug test than just a marijuana test?
Mm-hmm. You have to test for that synthetic chemical that they're putting on it. It's not THC,
Right.
which is what you would normally test for. This is a chemical.
I assume we have no recourse to the manufacturers if this is still legal.
I think they're made in people's houses. Didn't they just bust somebody for Molly's Plant Food a little while ago?
U.S. Attorney ordered it all removed from the shelf, so it has been.
But the guy that was making it, I think he recently got busted. You don't know? Okay, I'm thinking I read that recently, and I can't remember where he was either, but I'm thinking he was in Tennessee somewhere. So,
Well-
anyway, it's bad juju. It really is. But everybody's trying. It's like methamphetamine, I guess. You know, you keep passing laws to make things illegal, and they keep finding other ways to do things. It's just, the creativity is really quite amazing. You just wish they would put it to good use instead of bad use. But, oy, 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 oy.
Well, it's so easy for our kids to get it too.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're called criminals.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, before it got illegal, you could buy it at the little market right next door to drug court. They could get a drug screen, go next door and use it. Now, that's frustrating.
Any more questions on the motion on the floor? Call the roll.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Key?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes.
If it makes you feel any better, my budget 2 years ago was $30,000. This only brings it up to $25,000. So I'm still doing better than I have.
Well, I just hate seeing that.
Undefined budget, it's an item, unassigned, that's the word this
Unassigned,
year.
yeah, I
It just shrinks
understand.
and shrinks and shrinks.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And you give that to Elaine, right, the originals? Okay, thank you very much.
Juvenile detention.
Ask Lynn if she's seeing it, I bet she is too.
I have some on my display case that the sheriff's department gave me, and one of the containers anyway. So yeah, they're coming in with it.
Does it make your plants grow?
No. Okay, good evening. What you have in front of me is, or in front of you is the March report. And probably the only thing of real interest is that our population average was up a little bit, but as you are probably familiar with, as the months come and go, that changes. It goes up, it goes down. So March was high, and we're doing fine on our billings, and we have 3 counties that we are expecting some checks from, but they've been paying well all year, and we don't expect to have any problems from that. And otherwise, I'll be happy to ask or answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for her?
How much do we get per day?
175.
Okay.
And we're contracted with how many?
22.
22. But Rutherford County gets first dibs.
Hope so.
Yeah.
There's room.
What's
Anybody-
our capacity?
64.
Okay.
Anybody else? Entertain a motion if there's no other questions.
Motion to approve the report.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
A second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion has carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Sheriff Department report, and also I think their budget from last month.
Kevin, they were having to make some last minute adjustments.
Okay, all right.
Way down in the table.
Okay, for tonight, we got a few amendments here. We're recognizing some revenue that's come in from some contributions on in-service training. We've had 2 of those totaling $120, so we're wanting to put that back into our $196 in-service training account. We recycled some more material to Clark Metal, so there's $317 that came in for that, and we'd like to put that back into our repair and maintenance of the building on the jail side. The 505, let's see, 505 judgment account, we're wanting to move $4,000 from there into our in-service training account. And then we've got contributions. We're wanting to move those into our office supplies account.
That judgment account, what is that?
That's say it again?
It's a detective's budget.
Yes, the 505 on that.
That is our investigative for citation unit.
Oh, that's right.
For investigative holds on vehicles.
Okay.
Stolen in and things like that.
Okay.
And we're sending 2 for training, right? Okay. And then on page 2, which is item number 5, we're requesting $56,540 from the litigation fund, and that's what that line item number there is for our 54-210 jail building improvements. We're going to put in a proximity card passkey system in and out of the building for security purposes. Also, we'll detail who's going in and out every door, what time. There'll be a log that will be created for that for every officer that goes in and out of the facility. Then on the next line item, 54-210-336 repair and maintenance of equipment on the jail side, we're wanting to move to data processing equipment. And then on the last one is another $100 contribution that came in that was not consolidated with the first one because it came in later in the day, and we're wanting to put that into the jail side other charges. And those are our amendments for tonight.
Okay. Y'all heard the request. Any questions?
Have you had issues with security? Is that why you're wanting to do this, or?
No, it's basically our first step towards electronic time clock using a proximity card system, and then in addition to just better, easier access, and it will severely limit. The big thing is it will limit any security issues in the future for sure, because everybody will have a card they've got to swipe to be able to get in and out the door.
We can turn the card on, we can cut it off. Right now, with the way our security system's set up, is a punch pad with a security code. That code does not change that often.
Yeah, so too many people can get it. Yeah.
People going or leaving employment there, we don't change it every time someone walks out, so they possibly could walk right back in. So with the card, we'll be able to restrict their access immediately.
Is this just access to the building, or is it locked within the building?
It's right now be with the
Ingress
access to the
Ingress.
building.
Yeah.
Later on, as things change, we might have access within the building too.
Yeah, nice part is later on we can put sensors anywhere in the facility itself, and if all of a sudden we need him immediately, I'll be able to tell where he's in the building. I'll be able to track him down, click on the screen and pop, and, oh, he's on level 5 up in the jail or something, and we can track him down and get him down there.
Any more questions? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Got a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Our discussion. Hearing or seeing none, call the roll.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
No.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes. I guess we got their,
We've got our normal budget reports in there for what the percentages are and everything. And I guess I'll make mention of this while we're going over this list here, or as you view this list. And Lisa Nolan was kind enough to come tonight. She and I discussed this afternoon, I think I mentioned earlier about rounding up all the money at the end of this month and trying to buy vehicles next couple of months down the road. What we decided to do is wait till after this budget year is over with, and then with the funds that are remaining at the end of I think she said by the third week of July, all the totals will be in, everything will be spent. And then the budget money that's left over, then we will come back to you guys with an amendment, a final amendment for the budget year, and then request those funds at that time. And that way, we know exactly what we've expended to that point, and there's no trying to guesstimate any of the, or forecasting on any of the line items in the budget as it stands now. One of the things I was hoping to do is try to pull money out of fuel, but then, fuel's kind of gone up quite a bit here lately, so we would rather sit back and wait and see where we do end up at the end of the budget year. So that request will be coming, just making you aware of that at this time.
Is there any questions on the report for the jail and the sheriff's office? If there's not, whenever you get a chance, I'll entertain a motion on their report.
Motion to approve the report.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion is carried on the report.
Last item on the bottom of the pile there is your motor vehicle reports for January and February of this year. I had, Bart Smith had been giving those to me, and so I was to present those now. I think he used to present these to the committees, and so there was a disconnect, and that was not being done, so I brought that up.
I think he was supposed to be here,
Yeah.
but he's not. So.
And I do not have March's list in yet, so as soon as I'll present that next month. Luckily, each month there, with all three items, you're seeing increases again, so hopefully things are picking up for the county. We'll see how it goes.
Do you know, has he written any tickets, or have you all written tickets? Have
Yeah,
you
we've
taken that over?
Yes.
Yet, that part of it?
Yes. There's been, he has been training all the patrol officers to write those citations, and there has been quite a few more written in the past. Now, Bart was out for a little while with surgery and stuff, but he has been getting with all of our deputies, doing a lot of training and going out with the guys, showing them how to do it and stuff, because it's something that we had not been trained on in the past. So we basically went for the state fine and the state violation on it instead of the county violation on it. And so now I think we are looking more at the county violation than we are the state violation, because that money directly comes back to Rutherford County. The state violation goes straight to the state. So I'd rather we get our part first.
Well, your deputies, they have more access to, that's probably a bad word. They can do more things than Bart was allowed to do. Can't
Correct.
They? Okay, they can.
Because they are, full-time law enforcement officers,
Yeah.
and they work for a police or a law enforcement agency.
So that means that anybody in this county, if we should happen to see a wheel tax that's 2 months out of date, that we can contact the sheriff's dispatch.
They can contact us if they'll take down the tag number, and contact us with it, then we can get it back to Bart and or the people that are helping Bart, and they can go look it up, and they can send them a letter, or they can go wait and find them driving down the road and issue them. And I'll be honest with you, I was very shocked when I learned what the fine is. It's $235 whenever one of these are written.
It's steep. But if they go to court, they can.
If they go to court, well, the court, from what I understand, has pretty much upheld every single one.
Okay, well, that's good.
So for whatever reason, the court does it, but it is very expensive.
Okay.
So, but Bart wrote numerous ones of them before, and he's still writing them, and we've got our officers out there looking for them as well.
Okay.
Any more questions on the wheel tax report for January and February? Entertain a motion on the wheel tax report for January and February.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion is carried. And I think now we're ready for the budget, and I hope everybody brought their,
This is the updated version. of the Sheriff's Office 54-110 item. So you'll take your old 54-110 accounting out, and this is the new version. Which will be the Sheriff's Office. And then,
Would you guys sit down once so Lisa, yes, she gets here, we can. A lot of stuff here.
Yes, it's not the J, it's the next one.
I'm assuming that last year's amended budget, 2010, 2011 was $17,806,000. And this year's 011 and 012 request is $17,718,000. Is that a correct statement?
yes.
With a decrease in $22,905.
You got a second page.
You got a second page over here. It'll be 18,293.
Oh, okay, I thought that, okay. Okay. So actually, it's roughly $18,300,000, $18,300,000.
That does not include the
With an increase of $487,208.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that doesn't have the.
That doesn't have the crossing guards?
Does not have the crossing guards.
Yeah, if you look up at line item.
That's, y'all were gonna put that back in.
169.
I don't know about how the committee feels, but my opinion is the crossing guards need to be left in there.
Yes.
Crossing guards need to be left in. Whether it's under your department or somebody else's, just read my emails.
I've had numerous, as late as 4:30 this afternoon, I'm not talking about crossing guard, I'm talking about parents.
I am talking about parents.
No problem, it's only a recommendation. I honestly, mine's 50/50, depends on where you're at. If you're out in the county, they're more
Yeah.
about letting the city take it on. If you're in the city, they're more about we pay taxes. And I understand both sides.
Yeah.
It was only a recommendation.
Yeah. Mayor?
Okay, I don't know how you want to actually go down through this, whether we're going to do it line by line or what.
Last time we went line by line, I mean, we can do line by line.
Here's what we're going to do, if it's okay with you. Here's what the mayor and the finance director have proposed. And pretty much this is going to match up, but we want to go through this in some detail.
Okay.
Okay, now, this won't match exactly because Lisa has got these salaries componentized by positions like for deputies, detectives, captains, so you can't match that up there, so don't be overly concerned about that piece of it.
Okay.
And this piece that we've handed out to you, it includes a recommendation for step increases for all of their employees.
That have been in their step 3 years.
That have been in the step, yeah. That's not in the piece of paper that we have from the sheriff. That's not in there. Those are just continuation numbers there. these numbers I've just given you does
Okay.
include those increases, and those increases are, I don't know, it's a little under 200,000,
Well, for county-wide, it's about $500,000.
$500,000, but here it's, I forgot the exact number on just the sheriff's office, but in any event. So assume that we're correct on our salaries as we come down through there. And the first thing that we are suggesting changing is item 169, which is that part-time number, and that's what you were just talking about. The $395,600 does include the crossing guards, the traffic control part-time people, whereas their number of 101,000 did not. Now, Joe, any time you don't understand, let us know.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Because this is recent changes, less.
And you've got this small sheet that identifies how many positions are in each line item.
Now, if you, let's just look at his second page, if you don't mind, whereby those are additional requests for additional people, et cetera. There's only one of those positions that we're recommending be put in this budget, and that's that one additional sex offender position.
And that's on your second page of this. It's in a separate budget.
It's in a separate budget completely. But yeah, that's the 54,160. It has its own budget.
That's the $53,434 on the sheriff's budget.
52,640, the one at the bottom.
Oh, the
52,
bottom,
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But the total cost for that particular person in that particular department, you might say, is $54,429. That's on that second sheet that you have in your hand there. Now, we did add in where he's requested that $25,000 for the meth cleanup. That is added into which line item did we put that into, Lisa?
Contracts with private agencies.
Other contracts with private agencies. And that's, you see on 312, that is 62,900. He only has 37,900 on their sheet there. So we've added that 25 and put it in.
So you're okay with that then?
Yeah, the 25 is added to the 37,900 that you have to give 62,900. Okay. Now, pretty much past that, I don't really remember that we made any changes. We have not included any of these other requests that he has on that second page, except those two that I just mentioned to you, as far as our recommendation.
What about did you do the domestic violence?
Domestic violence.
VTOP?
We did not do that.
That was a grant position.
That was the grant position.
You had it as an add-on. You've got one grant position.
We've got two. One is a grant that still carries over to next year, and this grant is up July 1.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
so-
not one that is required to be carried forward.
No, it's not required to be carried forward. But
Right.
it was one of those that was under the understanding like every other one. And so we have hired a person who got moved out of a position to take this position. And it was under the assumption that it would be absorbed like every other one. So here we have a 5-6 year employee whose position is going to be eliminated. So we're going to end up laying her off. And that's why we have her in this budget.
Is there there's two domestic violence detectives, is that correct?
There's a group of 4 or 5.
Five. We
Five.
have one on a 3-year grant right now that didn't come until 2013, I believe. Detective Sweet Talk, Nicole now, Fergus Boo now. She was a 1-year grant position, okay? So, and they work all families. I consider domestic violence family crime, period. So all the sex abuse, the domestic violence, the school problems we have with them calling us to schools on domestic violence, things, they handle all that. And like I said, I had 432 last year. That's just domestic violence. I'm not talking about everything else that they do as far as family crimes.
How many cases do they, in family crimes, does the 5?
Well, I had over 250 sex crimes last year under 18. And then you add the child physical abuse, which was probably 50 cases last year. And they're starting to get a lot of elderly abuse that we're having to deal with also.
So we're just, in our proposal, we're asking to keep her and keep her employed and keep her out there doing what she's doing.
And what happened to the one-year position, I think that she was mentioning? Is that?
That's
it.
Spetoff. This is the one-year position. They created it through a grant last year.
That's this one?
That's this one. That's the domestic violence. And it was a grant last year that was accepted as a one-year grant. And so
But has she been with you the 4 or 5 years?
she's been with us. She started out in patrol. She came
Okay, so
from
you moved her
another.
into that position
Yeah,
from another
from
position.
another position. So basically, we don't have any positions to push back right now. So
So somebody was getting laid off.
somebody's going to get laid off.
Unless
You
there's a
replaced her
position
original
open.
position.
that she
Yeah,
moved back
because
into.
she became a grant, and it's, and I hate to speak because I was not part of that budget at that time, but I know in the past when I was hired into patrol, I was a grant position, and it was automatically assumed that, we know what that does, but, it assumed that that position will be there forever. I'm not going to take someone, give someone a position unless you let them know that, hey, it may not be here, but then if it's not going to be here and I'm a 5-10-year employee, that position, then you got to have some place to push them back to. And that will definitely be how we look at grants from here on out, is basically we'll try to get a commitment beforehand, are we going to absorb this or not? If we can't absorb it in a matter of time, then we won't even apply for it. I think that's the best, because I'm scared for her. Here she is trying to do her budget and live, and she doesn't know right now, come July 1, if she's going to have a job.
Okay, so we can fund that position, or the sheriff can see if there's a position that may become open or is open that he could put her into and still maintain it. I don't know what flexibility he might have.
I don't recall any time we okay a grant that we're gonna make them permanent. I've been up here a pretty good while, and there's
Mr. P.
always a chance that at times there won't be. Now, when we had the grants, I know when Clinton was in office, there were quite a few of the officer grants where we were adding patrol people that we knew that we'd be keeping them. But some of these, no. The understanding was, hey, we may not keep these positions. So I think what you said a minute ago, anytime we got a grant position like that, people need to be careful about stepping up and saying, hey, I want to get into that.
Yeah, we won't apply for them unless we know, because I'm not going to put somebody in that predicament like we've got right now.
I'll be honest with you, in the past, I was always under the understanding that once we did, like the COPS grants or any grant like that, that at the end of that period, that, we were going to keep those.
I think then when those COPS grants, they required us to agree to that in the beginning.
And the funding, they paid 75, we paid 25. The next year it was 50-50.
Right, then
They
it-
weaned us off of the federal.
Then at some point, after 3 or 4 years, it was 100%. Virgil, you gonna?
I'm sorry, there's only been one grant that I'm aware of that we absolutely didn't confirm that it would be reconfirmed. It's the recent grants we have with the workhouse and ourselves, with the coordinators that work with the prisoners.
And
that one up front was known that it was not going to, it would not continue on if it wasn't refitted with more money from the government, of course, with the cuts. But I've been up here a long time, and every time we've done these, like Commissioner Foley has said, it's always been with the belief that these people would be assaulted. I mean, why fill them if they're not going to do it?
I mean, that's always been my belief on it, once we approve a grant,
Well, like I said, that's not been my beliefs.
Right.
Yeah, but that hadn't been etched in stone. I've been up here for several years.
Oh, no,
also.
it's not, I don't think it's etched in
Once
stone.
we approve the grant, we know for that period that it's gonna be funded. But I can't remember us saying, what, 3 years down the road, we're gonna make it permanent, and you'll be on board.
It'd be just like building a school. I mean, I know once I vote to pay for that brick and mortar, I know I gotta do something to operate it. You know,
I guess what we would ask that you consider, it appears that this position is the priority position. If we're going to fund an additional position, let's just flip this one with respect to the one that we said on the sex offender position. It's on its separate little budget. Let's just do away with that one and just fund this position for domestic violence.
But when we get into the sex offender registry, we get into where that's kind of become an unfunded, or it's an unfunded mandate. We have to have that position, and due to the fact of the different laws that have come down through the state with keeping up and tracking the sex offenders, we definitely want to keep up with those guys and know where they are. And so that right now, that position is split between evidence and detectives, and she's spending half her time back and forth. Well, actually, over the past couple of years, she's started to spend more time over in the detective division and not helping out in evidence, and only getting paid as a detention officer pay grade, but she's doing a detective's job, which is a pay grade 6. And right now, she has not been certified as an officer doing that job, and she is at the police academy as we speak, becoming a certified police officer, getting that proper training that she should have. So then, and I'm willing to give and take. I mean, we can just totally do away with the evidence tech, the other part of the split on that, which is a pay grade 4, but I would like to get her into a pay grade 6, but we will no longer have anybody to help Philip Martin do evidence stuff, and we all know how bad off that is with that room and keeping up with stuff and the help that he needs. So, I mean, I'm willing to, I know it stinks for him, but, we can.
You're willing to give up an evidence tech position and replace it by upgrading this one to a 6?
Yeah, upgrading this from a 4 to a 6, and that would be her position, but we no longer have.
We'd only add one position, and we'd upgrade one position.
We'd upgrade her salary from a pay grade 4, step whatever, to a pay grade 6, probably step 1.
Doing away with the tech, that means we still got.
I mean, we still got the same amount of bodies.
Position and the sex offender position.
Well,
difference in those two.
And he reduces the evidence tech position.
Right.
That's sharing some of these duties.
Move the tech position out of this budget and move it into here.
Yeah.
That's that position, and add,
An upgrade to
what,
the.
a detective, for that,
Well, it doesn't say what that.
no, this one.
Oh, okay. Domestic violence?
That's what I heard, is we add the domestic violence position, which is a pay grade 6.
What is
that a
what
detective
position? What level?
Speak talk. She is a pay grade 6, step 4.
Pay grade
Speak talk. Speak talk.
6.
She's a pay
I'm
grade
asking, I
6.
can't remember.
She's a pay grade 6, 4.
Okay.
Add that. And move the position that we gave for the evidence into this one. And upgrade it. Is that what you?
Well, he's saying they're going to eliminate one position, the evidence tech
eliminate
position.
half of her position. Half of her position right now is considered the evidence tech.
It's a body.
It's a body.
It's a body.
It's the same body. She's still getting paid, but she won't be doing that job. She'll just be, she's already being funded. We just need to fund her at a pay grade 6, step 1. Instead of a pay grade 4, step 5.
Instead of a clerical person, you're now adding a detective, basically.
Yeah, basically it's a raise of about, let's say, I don't have the numbers in front of me.
But you
so
take off
about
of here somewhere in a
$5,000.
position, somewhere else.
Yeah. I add one. and take one.
So as far as position, that would be a wash. It'd just be an increase because of going
Yeah,
to
it's a
the
pay
tax.
raise.
Grade
Yeah.
level.
Yeah, it's going up from a 4 to a 6 or whatever it is.
That's a 24% increase.
And I also thought we were all in agreement on the ICE position,
Yeah.
absorbing one of those.
We,
We already have one.
that we did this year.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
looking at
okay.
looking at the drug fund, you've got sufficient fund balance to go another year.
But that'll wipe it out.
No, it won't wipe it out.
And
But we're trying to, y'all absorb one and we may be able to absorb one over time. We're gonna try to do that, but y'all don't wanna try to do that at all.
Well, not this year, we don't want to. You've got some dollars, and we think, you're likely to get some more in there too, so it's not like we're gonna, even if we don't get any more in, we've got enough to fund it this year. And you will surely get some more in there.
But yeah, but it's also trying to get them out of that, because right now they're, as it says, the way the old fee-based system was, we're trying to pull them out.
Even with that in mind, your fee-based system is that sale of confidential drug money. If you don't get $1 in for confidential, you've got sufficient reserves to pay them for a year. So,
Yeah, we've got enough to pay them for another year.
We're trying to do the best we can to protect, first of all, these step increases. And with the numbers we've got right here, it's 18.1. It's not 17.7, it's 18.1 with the step increases in there. So I know you didn't put them in there, we understand that completely, but it's going up from, let's see, the amended budget of 17.8 is going up to 18.1, so it's going up 300,000 or so just for
Just on the step
step increase. It's not all that step increase, but a few other things as well. We've looked at the whole picture, and the whole picture, when you put everybody together, we're still facing a very difficult challenge to keep these step raises in there, and that's the primary thing we're trying to focus on.
we're 4 million out of tilt right now. 4 million.
Oh, we're $4 million short of revenue right now, so she tells me. That will have to come from ending fund balance increases and the use of our ending fund balance.
Okay, to get it maybe straight in my mind, right now, there's 247 positions in the sheriff's department that we're gonna keep, and there's gonna be one added for the domestic violence through a grant. That's the end result of what we've done.
You don't have a grant
You don't have a
anymore.
grant,
There's
it's
no
an
grant.
elimination of the grant where the county will absorb it.
Okay.
Which means a new position. He's
Yeah.
absorbing
Yeah.
it. Tax
So it's-
dollars are having to fund it now.
So it's one new position, and then the narcotics and ICE. We know we can make it the way it is through this next fiscal year. And come next May of 2012, I guess it is, that's when the decision comes as to what's going to be done. Be it,
5 or 6 positions.
yeah, be it going back to the school crossing guards or whatever, that type thing, or the narcotic, And you know what you're going to be asked next year,
Yeah.
which is most important to you. We'll let you put it on TV.
And I'll be glad to say it again.
Okay.
So are we doing the sex person or not?
We're basically swapping a position, we're
That's not a good way
upgrading
to
a
put it,
position.
is it, in this day and age?
So is this person gonna be hired for this?
They already have the person.
For the
Yeah,
sex?
we're basically upgrading a position, eliminating half of her duties and
Okay.
upgrading her into.
Now, just, this is a curiosity question. Now, can it be looked at throughout this year if people leave the department of their own volition, that we don't necessarily fill those, looking at the extreme possibility that the economy is not going to improve enough that we're going to be able to find 5 positions for next year?
That's exactly what we'll have to do,
Yeah.
but by doing that, then more than likely you're gonna take people away from patrolling zones right now. And on most given days, there's only 7 officers patrolling zones in the county. So, if we take and absorb these, then there'll be less officers patrolling the zones in the county, and they'll be doing narcotics and/or ICE. It's all kind of priority. If you want to do away with the whole narcotics division and ICE and all that,
Well, from what I'm hearing is we got to keep options open for next year, because, who knows? It may improve, it may not. We don't know.
This is all just asking. Also, the next request in there, I guess, I'm still going on about upgrading Lisa Marcia-Shoney, her position. She is now a pay grade 4, because she's also doing all our PIO stuff with the media and stuff, upgrading her to a pay grade 7, because she's doing 2 different jobs. She still wants to do her job working with the inmates and teaching GED classes and all that. She really enjoys that, but she also does a lot of information gathering and writing stories and dealing with the media for me and for our office. So I'm asking in the budget, to upgrade her.
And that total includes benefits.
I don't know what the school board pays for their PIO person, but that's kind of where we're at with ours.
I'm assuming that the mayor's recommendation is coinciding with the sheriff's department's recommendation, and also increasing domestic violence, and the meth cleanup line item, and the sex offender person, swapping that out, kind of the tech and upgrading.
I mean, that's not in there now, but I'll have to do that.
Right, I mean, but that's where we're at right now, right?
That's right.
The only thing in y'all's request that's not in there now, it would be the narcotics absorption, the PIO, and a 3% across the board increase.
Correct. That's correct.
These noted increases over here, I'm assuming, are the motor vehicles, the data processing services, and the dry cleaning uniforms. Is that in?
Yeah, those are in
Those are in yours as well, Mayor?
Yes, they are.
Well, I was going to ask that, why is the data processing services going up by basically a half more than what they are this year? Aren't they? I see them as 87,000 this year, and this says 150,000 for next year. So
What we're doing is we're bringing in-house the OIT from the county OIT on some of the functions, not everything. Mainly that there's additional software being purchased for the rocket modems, things like that. There's equipment that's going to be purchased out of that item as well. We're going to start taking care of a lot of those things in-house.
Yeah, I'm going to ask the one.
Yeah,
That's not going to cut, OIT then isn't going to be able to cut any, is it? Because it's still going to have to provide this stuff to the other 29 departments or whatever we have, right?
We're pulling our part of
Pulling
their
our part out of
budget
their budget.
out of their budget and putting it into our budget.
So there's a reduction, is that
So-
correct, Lisa? There's a reduction
So
in
we're
OIT.
going to see a $83,000 or $75,000 decrease in OIT's budget?
Oh, Absolutely not. But they're doing a lot of things that they're not currently doing this year.
Okay, nobody's doing it.
That nobody's doing.
Okay.
That's primarily what we're doing here. These modems they're talking about putting in their cars, they're not in there now. The types of modems they're putting in there that allow them to do a lot of things that they can tell you more about than I can. So there's an increasing there. The support for that, the cost, you have to pay monthly fees on those. So substantially what they're doing are improvements, enhancements, and things that they need to do that we hadn't put in this year's budget.
Okay.
So there's some technology improvements substantially in this whole
So
list of things.
it's going to make the
It's gonna make
sheriff's department more efficient.
And it puts them in a position to start putting laptops in their patrol cars at some point with these particular types of modems. So they're proposing to start that process as time goes on. They can't do all of them. Certainly the first go-round they can only do a limited number, but it would put them in a position to do that. So this is new law enforcement needs that they don't currently have.
It's getting us into the 21st century.
And just by adding this, long term, we will see a savings. If you put the laptops and all in.
Well, our proposal is to go paperless.
That's right.
With our forms, so therefore,
You'll see a substantial amount of savings over the period of
It
time.
also takes a lot off, it will, not right at first, but it will, over time, it'll take a lot off communication and work the dispatchers will be doing, where that officer can get on that computer and look up information where the dispatcher normally has to do it now.
Right.
Also, with the officers submitting their reports, they can submit them via email instead of having to drive all the way back into the sheriff's office, turn in reports.
Big savings. Big savings down the road.
Yeah, so there's lots of different ways to save a little here and a little there.
I can see that.
I got to ask about the gasoline then too. We got it down 50,000 from what we have it this year. Everything was looking great, but then I just saw in y'all's report. Mr. Russell was saying about that he was hoping to get some there to go to new vehicles, but it's dramatically going down now. We got a couple of months to go, and we got about 150,000 left. Or
We're basically banking that, or budgeting that 150 is pretty much what's going to take to get to the end of the year at this point because of the increase in cost.
But that means, but
Last year's budget, it was at
700,000.
700,000, and we're trying to reduce it to 650,000
Yeah.
next year. That's.
You think gas is going to stab me? It didn't last time, so I'm kind of banking it's going to go back down as well, so.
Hoping, if it doesn't,
it's
then
basically
we'll be back.
speculating.
But the other thing is we're not going to park the cut vehicles, right?
No, I mean, if gas goes up and we get to where we're out of gas, then naturally, we're gonna come back and ask for a budget amendment and ask for more fuel. But right now, on the front end, we're gonna ask for less and hopefully try to get through with less.
I figure next year being an election year, though, gas will probably be a little bit cheaper. They'll be trying to get the economy rolling again.
Yeah, President will probably want gas to be low.
It's a gamble, but.
We're trying. We're trying to figure out different ways. We've cut several little areas.
All right, I guess we've kind of got an idea here of what the mayor has asked, has said his recommendation would be, and then we've had these three additional additions. Is there anything else that the committee wants to add, subtract, or what?
I personally have to deal with all of it, but that's not the case.
I would, I mean, the biggest thing I'd like to do, and I know we can't, is that 3% across the board rate for all county employees. I mean, but that's.
But you never hurt to ask, 50-50 shot.
Right.
It's only 50-50.
There's the old adage is, if you think you're worth it, at least ask. The only thing they say is no, and I think my guys are worth it.
Yeah. Well, we could do it.
I don't blame you for sticking with them.
Mr. Chairman, we could do it.
Is there 11 votes to pass it though?
Yeah, that's a question.
That's-
Or you gonna get, or anybody that supports it gonna get lynched, right? We could.
Well, not for a few years.
We can't even get state mandated stuff passed, people to vote 21.
Don't say we can send it on.
Yeah, y'all can send it on, y'all can recommend it, send it on up, but y'all can let Budget and Finance have to deal with the 3% increase.
Some of us are there also.
Well, I got two of you here, but if I get y'all support,
Whatever somebody wants, we'll entertain a motion.
I mean, have we ever done a study on all our crossing guards? Are they all, as to how many kids come across there, or how many times, or in the intersections we have, are we most efficient?
It's really very little crossing guard. I mean, these are traffic control people in my judgment.
Okay, yeah.
Well, you wanna hear the question that I was asked? How many SRO officers we have? And a lot of parents was asking, why can't they? And I wish you would answer that, cause
And my answer to them is when little Johnny's in the back of the school in a fight, but the SRO's up in the front of the school directing traffic, they're gonna then complain, why wasn't the SRO up, or why wasn't the SRO back there taking care of the fight? So, I mean, it's kinda one of those things, and I understand, I wish there was a way that we could be several places or do stuff like that. But that's exactly what's gonna happen is, they're gonna be out directing traffic and there's gonna be a huge fight in the back, and then we're gonna be, well, why weren't you back there?
So I can tell them they can't be in two places.
They can't be in two places at once.
All right. That's all I wanna hear.
Oh, it seems to me, when I first came up here in October of 2002 is when Murfreesboro said they were gonna quit funding traffic control guards at schools in the city that were county. And of course, Smyrna and Laverne followed suit. Seems now, I've gone right around the circle and right
Yeah,
back
we're
where I started
asking them.
about 7 or 8 years.
And that was honestly my thought on it was, these are mostly traffic people. They just direct traffic. Well, we don't direct traffic in the city normally. That's not our primary job. The city takes care of their own traffic issues. We take care of traffic issues in the county, and that's why I had the recommendation. It was just a thought that let the city do their own traffic, we'll do our traffic. That's how everything else is done. So.
All right, I think we've got some line items here that the mayor has recommended. We've got, the committee, I think, is, and along with the sheriff's department, has discussed, and the mayor has, I guess, kind of agreed that, with those 3 additional, the domestic violence, and then the cleanup on you'd already added that in there, and then the sex offender position, and then swapping that out with the tech and increasing the pay grade.
We're okay with that.
So I think right now, there's an agreement, from what I'm hearing, on what's on the floor at this time. Is there anything else that recommendation that the committee wants to look at? Is there a motion? Is there?
I'd like one answer first.
Okay.
And that's what's the bottom line right now with what we've discussed here and approved. Do we?
We're really not know, because that one position, that upgrade.
Yeah. Well, can we get it pretty close? Because on this one page, we got all those extras that came out to over 18 million.
Yeah, it's 18,102 plus some money.
Wait, yeah, just one. Because that stays here, then that one position that's in here that's pay grade 4 is gonna be upgraded.
So it's just slightly over. Let's say it's 18,125 or something.
Yeah.
Okay. And
we don't know precisely, but
right, roughly.
And from the amended budget last year, it was 17,806, so we're roughly 300,000 more. Something like that.
And that includes these step increases.
For the ones that.
For the ones that are due the step
that are due
increase.
the step.
Yeah, the steps are roughly about $40,000 plus benefits.
And it's getting y'all some OIT, and you've got your narcotics and ICE at least through another year.
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. It's got you. new uniforms too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I meant to bring you a copy, gonna show you the new patch, which is, costs the exact same, if not just a little bit less, and I will have that for you next meeting. But we are also gonna be changing our patch to more of the county seal, except at the bottom of the rocker, it'll say Sheriff's Office. But it looks very, because
I actually seen it this morning, it's kind of like the seal on the podium in there.
so it's got a gray background for the simple fact if we use a white background, it'll get dirty and nasty, and so gray will look better. So, and that's who we represent, is Rutherford County, so that's why I decided to go with changing our patch to the Rutherford County seal.
What is the will of the committee?
All right, so the proposal is what is pretty much on the mayor's budget, right? Plus the changing domestic violence.
Adding that in, absorbing that domestic violence position. This right here, the mayor's already got this in there, and actually absorbing the sex offender position and doing away with a half a position, but increasing it from a 4 to a 6. Is that correct? You got all right. Becky's got a proposed motion.
Why don't you read that, Beck?
Approve the 2011-2012 budget as submitted by the county mayor with the addition of the domestic violence position and upgrade of the sex offender position with deletion of half of the evidence tech position at approximately $18,105,000.
Is there anybody that wants to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Okay. Is there anybody who wants to second that motion?
I'll second for now.
Okay. We got a motion and a second on the floor. All right, discussion.
Do we know what this is going to do to the budget? I mean, you said we're 4 million under, right?
About 4 million out of 10.
You had, most of your stuff was in there.
So how are we going? How do we make that up?
Either the ending fund balance or taxes. And I think what I heard a while ago, I don't want to put words, I think right now it's being looked at the ending fund balance. Is that correct? Unless 11 commissioners want to be brave enough.
Unless a lot of departments give some money back this year, right?
Yeah.
To get up to have it.
Which I don't see 11 commissioners voting for a tax increase.
Not going there.
Get caught for that one, aren't you?
Not going there. Yeah.
50 million plus operations, a lot of money.
Which is the reason why we couldn't absorb the 6 or any part. I mean, we start getting too close to the policies, so.
Is there any more discussion on the motion that's on the floor? Hearing or seeing none. Call the roll.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
I'll pass.
Commissioner Farley?
Yes. All right. Let's see here.
Well, while we're on budgets.
Right.
I'd like for you to consider revisiting the discussion you had about the jail. There's really, I think it's only about one change that we'd like to suggest that you didn't discuss previously.
Okay.
Just want to be sure, just one anyway. Okay, in any event, the primary thing I want to suggest to you, we've had some serious but difficult discussions with our provider of the medical services they have there. And after several discussions, he has agreed that if we'll give him a nominal increase so that he can give some nominal increases to his salaried people there, that he would accept a budget amount that we currently have this year if we'd add $30,000 to that. And so instead of $3,352,608, that would be $3,223,000. Now, I would like to point out one thing respectfully. He has received a notice that they're not going to extend his medical malpractice coverage. He's appealing that, and if he's not successful there, that number will go up from what he's currently paying. So in this budget, he would only have the money to pay he's currently paying. So I want to make you fully aware that if they don't extend his policy, and if he has to shop this policy and it requires an increase, I want to go on record of saying that we should be a partner with him in trying to help him accommodate whatever those additional costs will be. We don't know whether they're going to be any or a lot of money. We just really don't know. But when that happens, and if that happens, we're going to be back to support and request that we assist with the additional cost of whatever medical malpractice insurance is required. He has done an excellent job providing those services, and they can attest to that better than I can, but he's a very, very professional provider, and he's really worked hard. He's had a few lawsuits that they've had to defend, the carrier has, but he's not lost any. But the defense of the lawsuits have been in excess of what they thought was reasonable, so that's the reason they're concerned about his continuation under that policy. That being said, he's willing to sort of risk with us, and we should partner with him and be prepared to help assist with that increase if and when it does actually occur.
Well, he has, over the years, he has saved the county thousands of dollars when it comes to the medical side, what we were paying before he came on board. So, and working with the judges, working with the hospitals and things like that, so he has done that. That is a very true statement.
So on 399, what's the bottom line that you're saying? You said 30,000. How about what we got?
$3,223,000.
I guess being that we've already made the motion to approve.
You don't have to do anything. I guess I'll take that to
Okay.
budget. I can just give you notice. I'm going to tell budget that when we get there, okay?
I was wondering if we need to rescind what we did before, but just, you'll handle that through the budget.
I'll handle it through budget. I mean, you need to be informed if you don't agree with that. I mean, you just give you a little opportunity to say you don't agree, but.
I just, the bill that's going through the General Assembly to cap, is that, would that, to cap judicial lawsuits in this case? And it would cover malpractice, I think, when it looks like it's going to.
That's just setting caps. I don't think that would have any bearing.
It wouldn't.
He hadn't even lost a case, but yet he's had to defend 8 or 9 cases, and the cost of that defense is what's.
Well, who pays the other side of it? Or does it get paid?
He lose. I mean,
No, I know, but somebody's, okay, he didn't lose, but he's paying lawyers. Yeah, I mean, they're paying, but who's paying the plaintiffs?
I don't know. Some of those plaintiffs, several of them were pro se.
We are. Whenever the taxpayers are, because whenever they're an inmate in jail, if they fill out the paperwork and all that, we have to file it for them by law. So basically, we have to help them.
So they can take it to court
Federal
for
court,
free?
They can take it to the Supreme Court, yes, for free.
Federal court at no charge.
Yeah.
And then that's in Nashville.
Most of our lawsuits, all of our federal lawsuits and all that are done that way. That we have to give them the books, we have to give them the materials and help them sue us. And then when we go to court, you know, we have to defend it. So, I mean, we the taxpayers, are helping fund their lawsuits against us.
It's the way the system's set up. I know. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it is at state prison. I mean, that's just the way it is. It is what it is.
What called jailhouse lawyers.
Yes.
Now, he did mention for Dr. Rudd that if the jail does become accredited, he is going to have some additional costs, so that figure is going to have to go up next year. So just be prepared. Be prepared. Yeah, I mean, it's.
The accreditation process
is lengthy.
Is going to be costly, and I mean, we got to do a lot of work to get there. This building is going to take a lot of more continued improvement before you're going to be ready. And Dr. Rudd.
That should limit lawsuits quite a bit too, though. Looks like that would actually help us with that problem.
All of his people have to be RNs, I believe he told us, didn't he? And that would increase his cost substantially.
Are they all LPN now?
Not all of them, but some of them are.
Somebody has text.
So that's another journey maybe for next year.
We've made one change before, and it was a staffing change, when we did it before. Have y'all included that?
We included the one maintenance additional.
Yeah, and we were taking money off, out of the maintenance repair, service of buildings. We were taking it down to 177,000 to kind of balance it out for the HVAC person, correct?
What line item was that?
It was the list at the very bottom, and it was in 335.
Okay, 335. They've got 200. We've got 200.
It was 177 is what we changed it to.
We didn't have that.
No, but down at the very bottom then of that pay, where the mayor's left hand is, left hand.
That's how we were paying for it.
It's right there in that little addition noted, down there it says add one HVAC maintenance person, 44,292.
And we agreed with that, and that person is in our numbers.
Okay,
It's already in our numbers.
so it's only 177 on the other part.
We'll take that savings.
You still came out
that helps us
ahead.
pay for that.
18,000, 19, 20,000, whatever.
All right, so we got the sheriff's department budget, we got the jail budget, we got the drug fund,
We gotta do the drug fund now.
We gotta do the drug fund now.
Yeah, that's just almost. Because the question on the drug fund was the crossing guards and all that, so that's where we were at last time.
Okay, the drug fund you had in your file folder from last time, it has not changed except for the NARC position that we had. This has only got 5 salary positions in it, so you'll have to bump back up 70,000 for that. I've got extra copies tonight if anybody needs one, unless they've got one in their book. That's not bad. You know, Tiffany? You should have one in your 54,150 is the budget line item.
You got that, got it. Let me see one of those, please.
Yes, sir. Next year, I'm going to redo all the formats for the worksheets and stuff, so it'll be a little bit easier to read, especially with the noted increase section on all of them, because that's, I've got to go back and redo all the formulas and everything, so it'll be a while doing that. Okay. I'm listening to
Go print the,
We can go print ours, we don't have that with us, our recommendation.
but the mayor's recommendation is just the 6. You've got this going up 318,000. Did you include new positions over the amended budget?
He's
up
got
to
it
36?
340 even.
340 now?
Yeah, I'm 340 now.
See, our current budget's 236.
Mm-hmm.
But the mayor's recommendation is with the 6.
And that's probably in this right here, Lisa, I can tell them.
No, it's in a different fund.
But it's, yeah,
It's all 101. This is 122. This is a separate fund.
Oh, okay, I'm
And
sorry.
that's all general.
We don't have it in here then. In any event, we're basically proposing no change
From last year.
from last year.
From the amended
And I don't-
2010, 2011.
That will end up being the mayor's recommendation.
That will end up being the recommendation. We don't,
Well, the noted increases on this one will be that confidential drug enforcement went up roughly 35,000.
yeah.
Additional $10,000 in maintenance repair for vehicles, because all the undercover vehicles are getting older, and so we haven't replaced any of those. Let's see, was there any more?
And some of those things may very well be okay.
Right.
I don't remember.
And then there was a noted increase under law enforcement equipment, which is the gray area that you see with the additional materials for just them performing their duties. And that's all noted there as to additional items that they're asking for this year that they didn't have in their budget for last year.
Well, I'll make a motion to go with the mayor's recommendation using the amended budget for 2010, 2011. I believe that's 669,176.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
Let me say that there may be some of those line items, when you get past the actual cost of the employees, that we're okay with. I just don't remember, to be honest with you, okay? So you might want to give me a little flexibility when we get the budget. Because I don't remember.
Some of those salaries may be getting part of that 3% increase.
Yeah, stuff like that. I don't mind amending my second to include, if there's some small variance in sundry items that the mayor's already seen and approved.
Is the maker of the motion?
Well, I mean, we're going to change it.
Did
when
we-
we get the budget.
So-
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so we're fine with that. So, well, at least we'll be looking at it then.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, because there are a few noted increases in this year's budget compared to last year's because of dog food and stuff like that, so.
We do have additional canine units now
Yeah.
on staff, so.
Yeah, so we've got to feed the dogs.
Yeah, that's 30,000. It pretty much.
Taking the same.
We don't want paws over there at the sheriff's office.
For the most part, and we haven't reviewed this in a while, to be honest with you, for the most part, we pretty much agree with what he's changed after you get past the compensation salaries and the
Okay,
benefits.
so basically 5 people and drop off that
6
one.
people.
6 people, yeah.
Because originally we
And
thought
we'll review those, but I mean, there will be some flexibility there.
Okay. All right. So the maker and the second is okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. You got the motion?
Approve the mayor's recommendation for the budget for account 54150.
Okay. All right. You got a motion and a second? Any more discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. So that's all the budgets that we got, right? Okay. All right.
You want to talk about something else?
Well, I do.
I see too much of you guys. I get to see it
The
again.
Budget Committee, Commissioner Jernigan moved, seconded by Commissioner Salmon, to send the jail expansion renovation back to Public Safety Committee to work with the Property Management Committee to decide specifically if they want to proceed with the design of the jail expansion renovation project before the project is sent to the Budget Committee, and to request that the Chairman of Public Safety add this to the April the 18th agenda, which we didn't have the 18th meeting, so I added it to tonight's meeting. This motion passed unanimously by acclamation. I watched the meeting on budget that night, and we got 2 budget members here on public safety. I know that night on the March the 28th, we sent that to budget to find out what the funding for the design would be, the way I understood it. As far as, we talked about the,
Where it was gonna come from.
where it was gonna come from.
No.
And for budget to actually come up with that. Now, I don't know what happened after that.
I thought it was coming out of litigation fund.
The design.
The design is,
Yeah.
But then the rest of it.
The rest of
Right.
it.
The question came up as to why design it if we're not gonna build it. The
Right.
design, we wanna make sure that it's gonna be built if we're gonna, it's not like a school, which is gonna probably be built sometime in the near future, if you go with that route. Whereas this is $440,000, and there's been talk about consolidation with the Correctional Work Center, whether that happens or whatever. The other thing that goes there, is there space at the Correctional Work Center that can be used or something else to alleviate this expansion on it? So that's why then it wound up coming back here
Well,
to get there.
that's not all of it. Part of it is the funding process. You know, when it was brought to me, I thought the litigation tax, the way I understood it, was going to pay for the entire project, and that's not the case, and the money's not available for that. You know, this commission has approved in the past a new judicial building several years ago. It's not still on our list of things to do, isn't it, Lisa?
I mean, it keeps getting
Further
pushed.
Right,
We're
and
getting
I mean,
pushed again.
that's something that's been on there and pushed back, and, why are we gonna spend the money to design a building that we can't afford to build right now? And I mean, that's what it boils down to, is if we got 11 commissioners out there that are willing to, pay the $8 million for this expansion right now, I don't know. I don't think so, but, maybe there is. We can discuss it any way you want to, but if we go in to do this, we're talking about a tax increase, in my opinion, to do it, and I'm not willing to do that right now myself.
Watching that night and hearing that the litigation tax was not enough to fund the whole entire project, it was gonna fall on a property tax increase, is the way I understood the budget committee that night.
On a capital project.
Right, on a capital project. What is the will of this committee? I know the chairman of property management,
Got to
Mr.
deal
Mack,
with it Thursday night.
is here.
Let me just say this, with our space, we're out. And we're to the point where we're renting space, the county's renting space. We're to the point of having to put desks in the hallways, and we all know what that's gonna do. The fire marshal come in and tell us to pull them out. We'll have to pull them out, or shut down a lobby. We just don't, we pushed out the glass for the front porch of the jail, made 3 offices. But we are just plumb out of space, just put it point blank. I mean, it's either that or can we get some portables? But we need something. Move the judicial commissioners out somewhere. We need something. We need some space somewhere. Something's got to give. It's either that or we push inmates up into the jail and we, turn a pod into an office area. And if we do that, we all know what's going to happen there. Then, we're still, the inmate overcrowding this. So somewhere, some way, we're to the point where something's got to give. The building is designed to have an expansion, or was designed to expand it in 10 years. We're now 17 years into that 10 years. So also with the Sallyport, the one thing that we've talked about that is now we've got this bus that was donated by the city of Murfreesboro. We can't get it into the Sallyport. We can barely get an ambulance in there. We'll have about an 1.5 inch clearance to get an ambulance in there when they come in there because of the big heaters. So, we've got all these different issues going on. Unfortunately, it falls on y'all's shoulders, but we are coming to y'all begging, just like the school system does and all that. They need more space, we need more space. I advocate for the sheriff's office. We need it. So it's just, I don't know what the other options I have except shut down lobbies, and then no one can come into the sheriff's office.
What's the possibility of doing something like they did out by the school board for maintenance, of building like a metal storage warehouse is what it is, and converting the inside of that in, putting heat with it into offices, and there's someplace right next. You don't want it?
No, I've had an idea kind of like that, but it was.
I don't see, $30 million plus for a judicial building is what you know, somewhere going, 60?
Start at 50.
50,
Well,
60, okay. Well, I was thinking only one floor, I guess. But I mean, here, we don't have 8 million for this either. But litigation tax could go for that, to
Yeah,
build it.
litigation
And it
can
may be
eventually
able
pay
to
it
get
back.
pretty close on.
Litigation tax is already being used to pay debt that we incurred of over $20 million on the work center.
Is the litigation tax at the max?
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
We're
We
collecting
got,
everything.
well, we got 1.2 million in there right now with.
We had built up some reserves before we used any of it.
You know, and I've thrown it out there, and, you know, we're sitting there talking about different things, and I'll throw out the idea, you know, there's a couple of warehouses there near the sheriff's office that are for sale, for lease, you know, Stewart Lumber Company, the couple of others. I'll just throw it out there. Like I said, I'm desperate for space, and I need to do something. You know, so I'm begging for portables. I mean, I'd be
Well,
happy.
the school board is building all this replacement square footage. Maybe there would be portables available.
You know,
There'd be a plethora of portable.
plethora,
plethora.
yeah.
A plethora of portables.
We'll line them up there, just like we do have our. Yeah, we have our outbuildings, all the different little storage buildings. We can have hobo row with the trailers. So, you know, like I said, we're dying. We need some help.
Well, let's say this. We're paying off, I believe, Lisa, in the neighborhood of $25 million a year of debt. If we just had 2 or 3 years that we didn't have to build a school, we have had 1 year out there about, we could build this and still sustain the same amount of debt service requirement.
You know, when it comes to the schools, you know, I told this to Lisa today. You know, I understand the schools, they come to you and say, you know what, we got 10 kids in this classroom and a teacher that we have to support. Well, my objection to that is, you know what, I've got those 10 kids I have to keep safe. I've got that teacher I've got to keep safe. And then I've got 2 parents for each one of those kids that I've got to keep safe. So
We'd like to keep those kids out of that jail.
well, I'm talking about not even just in the jail. I'm talking about just in the public out here. You at your home. I have to keep you safe at your home.
Get them across the street, right?
Yeah, I've got to get them across the street.
Well, do we have money to, in litigation to fund the design phase?
Yes, sir. We've got, what, $1.2 million approximately in there.
I know, I keep hearing they say that we don't have the money, the $8 million or whatever, but if we had the design phase in place, it may help us down the line, because I remember one incident where we didn't have anything in place, and this federal judge told us we will build a jail, whether we like it or not, and we built it. So we may need to start getting some of this stuff in place, so if and when we have to do it, we can do it. We can say, hey, we're working on it. We're trying, we're at the design phase. But right now, we said we're not gonna do nothing. We don't even have a design phase or nothing. We're just gonna let it ride. And it's only gonna ride so far, then it's gonna be somebody stepping in. You
They
have
said
a
we're already
choice.
renting space, so we've got roughly 35 officers renting space.
If you had 6,000 to 10,000 square feet more, how much would that help you?
5 square feet would help.
Well, I mean, why can't we look at the prices of what some of these, they still build a lot of decent sized storage warehouses around Murfreesboro.
But he's talking about, if you get a warehouse, there's no HVAC in there, there's no plumbing, there's no electrical, you're gonna have to convert that. It's gonna cost you just about as much for them to build them a reasonable office area. If you're gonna convert that to office space, it's just,
It's not gonna cost you anywhere near
yes,
$8 million.
just do it.
I think the trailer's just a good idea for right now.
That's not terrible.
I guess the real difficult job would be for them to determine what segment or what little department within their whole group could sort of function independent of where they're located.
School resource officer.
So they've got about 40 or 45 school resource officers. maybe if we found a place for them, it would really free up. But I don't guess you have an office space for those people anyway, do you?
Yeah, they've got the
But I mean, don't
supervision
they
of them.
share, I guess
They
they-
have one big room.
One big room.
I think 6 or 7 guys are.
Yeah, there's 7 guys that share that room right now, and they just have their desks all around each other, and then when they roll, they hit each other. But, that's why I've looked at, of course, they were rented. I don't know, there may be one space that's now available up here off the square, next to the bike shop, those places. I don't know. I mean, there's gotta be something somewhere, an upstairs attic, I think according to Virgil back in the day, they were upstairs over here at the courthouse. The
second floor. That was another floor there at one
the
point.
bank building, which is now just all archives and all that. But they were out of space, so they were looking for space within the county. We're dying.
I'm sure there's another division or unit that you could move out to.
Yes. We've got, people tripping over people just about, It's like in my office area, there's 4 secretaries that do different things. They all have financial responsibilities for the sheriff's office. But that was actually designed as a conference room. And now there's 4 desks in there, and there's a little pathway. It's the only way you can get in and out of there for them. It was never designed, that whole area up there was never designed to have the staff that it has now. That building was designed when the sheriff's office only had 142 officers, give or take.
It was a conference room.
And now we have a total department-wide of 441 officers total. So, we've had a 44% increase, in population in the county. Our booking is now taking in 43% more intakes in the past same amount of time. So,
Well, I agree you need more space. Is there any way that you could just, could we put this off for a month, the next month, maybe talk with somebody over at the school board and see if they foresee having any portables available in the next year or 2?
that's totally up to y'all. I'm at y'all's mercy.
I mean, just to get some answers before we.
Gary Clarity over there is assistant superintendent over engineering. I mean, he would be the person that would probably know.
The only other question I would have about that, and I think that it's something that would need to be raised, would be about city codes and stuff like that, about us having portables over there, but, that's the only thing.
There'll be some cost associated with that, as far as moving them, putting power, plumbing, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But could we use litigation funds to move them, or no?
No. No, it's
Not gonna help the Sally Port.
It's not gonna help the Sally Port, it's not gonna help booking.
What's the will of the committee? Well, I've done what budget asked me to do.
You've done your part.
All right.
I'd like to table it for a month.
Well, could we maybe send it to property management to get any space?
I got it coming up Thursday night.
It's already coming up. Well, maybe, just let y'all see if there's any available space out there anywhere that we don't know about.
Okay, that's no problem.
We pretty much tell you there's no available space, that we would have already offered it to them.
We're gonna come out with a recommendation Thursday night,
But-
one way or the other.
This group here is sort of is the one that sets direction for, quote, the need. The property management will meet and provide that need. Once public safety and budget says go for it, they'll direct the development of the project.
We'll provide the need.
No, you
All right.
What you gonna send to us?
I think.
So,
Right now, I ain't hearing nothing.
You don't have to take any action yet. You don't have to do it tonight.
Yeah.
You don't even have to table it. You just continue the discussion if you want to.
Well, it sounds like to me, I ain't hearing no discussion, I guess discussion will continue.
Well, we could challenge the sheriff's department to go out and see what they come up with on existing buildings and what the costs are. I mean, they could start on Racket Club Lane for all that's worth.
Is that a motion?
All right, I'll make a motion like that gets us going somewhere.
Is there a second to this motion?
What's the motion?
The sheriff's department between now and next month goes and looks at Murfreesboro and sees what there is available. And you can look at lease or you can look at the purchase and see what we could come up with. It may be ridiculous.
We can do that without
Basically, commercial office space.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have to be, I don't think it had to be true office space, because that's going to be more expensive. Something you can convert to true office space. I just have, just happen to think of that old racket club that's out there where they had the tennis courts and everything that's sitting, that's empty now. I mean, that's just a thought, but there's probably places alike around. I don't know, but there may be places closer.
We're no longer finds lease at the
Okay.
agriculture center.
We gave it to the city.
We gave it back to the city.
We donated it to
There
the
you
city.
go.
There's places sitting empty around.
Oh, there's tons
That
of places
that
I
are
agree
a
with
lot, that there may,
But we just need a check to get them.
Yeah.
If I find it.
The first thing we need to check to see if what there is.
If I find it, you gotta help me get the check.
If you find something, I'll help you.
Was
But I'm only 1 out of 21.
You gotta start somewhere.
Was there a motion, was there a second to his motion? It fails for lack of second.
I think they can do that without a motion.
Yeah, they can.
Is that what y'all would like for me to do without a motion? Would you like for me to go out and try to find? Okay.
But, first sort of identify how many people you think you need space for, whether it's half a dozen or 10 or 12 or 20, and then see if you can match those needs up with some available space and see how much the rental would be or they purchase with a conversion money.
What's not been brought up, and although the sheriff and Joe's aware of it, is we have a critical area also as the evidence room. That's a place that's really, it's long overdue on expansion, and it has to be done a certain way. So it's not necessarily something you can go out and throw in another building due to evidence and security and this type of thing. So that's even a more critical area where the other ones are. That needs to be kept in mind.
And that's where it gets us into lawsuits, is evidence.
Those closet doors you hate to open.
Yeah.
I agree with what Virgil said completely.
But there is, if we can get some people out of the jail, then there may be something you can do convert with what you got too.
Well, I guess
Well, the state does
come
that
back,
anyhow.
Look see what you can find and come back with a plan and we'll entertain it. All right, is there anything else on this matter? All right. I'm sorry. All right. I think that's all on the agenda from the sheriff's department, I guess, unless y'all got something else.
No.
But I have something on behalf of them.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and this is, we started a new fund this year, and it's the Asset Forfeiture Fund. And it's money, it's a little different that we have to budget this fund. We can, all these other ones that you see, we project revenue. You can't do that with this fund. The rules are around it is that we can't budget money we don't have. Just think of it as grant money. So we can't do it until we get the money in hand. The way that your meeting is set at the end of the month, and by the time they close out and we get information, I was going to request and ask for the committee if for that particular fund, when we have amendment, if we could skip this meeting and take it directly to budget. Every one of those amendments have to come to the full commission, every single one of them, because the amendment will be they receive revenue, and how are they going to allocate it?
Are you talking about revenue that the sheriff's department receives?
It would be that from the
What we talked about is where the state is holding those funds now. If I'm on the same page with you, and that we were gonna set that fund up, and we requested the
That's it.
state send that back to us, but how is that related to the sheriff?
I mean, it is that, I guess it's the same funds. It's the money coming from the feds. That's what I was hoping Preble would still be here.
She's probably in the hallway. The DEA funds?
DA fund, oh, y'all call it
Yeah, we
DEA?
call it
Y'all call it
DEA.
DEA?
We get it in
I
from
call
the
it the asset forfeiture
DEA.
funds.
Special purpose.
Special purpose fund, that's what you'll see it titled. Is it federal money? Is it
Federal money.
It's federal money,
It's seizures.
right, that they, go ahead and explain where the money comes from.
When we have to work with DEA or ATF or marshals, that money has to be set up. We have to have a seized account. They electronically put that money in there. She has the book. I've provided her with a book. It is very limited on what we can spend that money on as far as budgeting, no salaries, you know, things like that. So we try to use it for a lot like training, IT.
Right, and it's, but the money, you don't know when the money's coming.
Never know.
And so that's kind of what I'm asking, because sometimes we envision that the money comes and they would like to use it, but they can't pull it back down because we haven't gone through the series of
Committees.
Yes, committees. But what we were trying to get on is they close at the end of the month. They turn their bank statements over to us. I mean, we know, and then it goes to
I
budget.
personally wouldn't have a problem with because it wouldn't meet public safety, going ahead and going to budget, because at the end, the 21 commissioners are gonna see it at the end.
Every one of them will have to go. You know, if it's something that you're gonna amend within the budget, I mean, they can go through the thing, but as far as, I mean, pretty much I think by the time you get it, you know where you need to spend it. But that you will see those every time.
Are they holding these in their accounts right now, or is this going to the state?
No, it comes to them, but it's just a process of getting it out of their accounts into ours and then getting it amended and then back into theirs. It's a little cumbersome.
This is federal government.
You got two public safety guys on budget now.
And you will see it. For sure you will see it
The 21
again.
of us will see it at the end, so I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem.
No, no problem. Yeah, I just want to make them aware, so that when we come up, we say this is not gone before.
Right. Is there anything else through the sheriff's department that we need to bring up? All right, appreciate it.
Have a good night.
All right, is there any other business to come before the committee? Hearing none, we stand adjourned. Thank y'all.